Thank you, Tim. Good morning. My name is Penny Partridge, and as many of you know, I am not a guest minister. I am a member of this congregation and of the worship committee. Today, we have an unusual service of which I am the lay leader. You could think of it as a sampler of some of our summer services. Instead of an opening hymn, you will soon have an unusual hymn singing experience when Guy Pugh and Steve Yakutis present a part of their service last June as today's story for all ages. Meanwhile, let us be thankful that we can share this time and this space. Let us be open to the spirit of loving kindness and community, which is all around us now, here. Let that be so.
Good morning. My name is Chris Clifford. I'm a member of the worship committee at First Parish, and I would like to welcome you to the first spring summer service. Spring is truly here, and we are blessed. If you're having trouble hearing us, please raise your hand here in the meeting house or message us in the chat function of Zoom so we can adjust the sound. Up a little bit, Colin. Okay. We're so glad you've chosen to join us here this morning or to join us virtually. However your journey, whatever your heritage, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. Your presence here on Sunday morning enriches worship for everyone. This sanctuary is made holy by your presence. If you're joining us for the first time, a special welcome. You will find information about First Parish in your pew. One of the greeters or I would be happy to answer any questions you might have, and any of us would welcome the opportunity to walk with you to social hour after the service. The work of living our faith is done both in and out of worship, so I call your attention to the printed announcement that came in your order of worship. I do have one fairly important announcement. We are a congregation that manages ourselves, so it's done by committee. And next Sunday in the parish hall, we will have a committee fair. The chairs of each committee will be present to tell you about what they do for work and how you will have an opportunity to participate. It's really important to participate because that's what makes this happen every Sunday. So please come. Now this is the part everybody likes. Let's take a few minutes to greet each other, but staying in our pews to be COVID safe. And folks on Zoom, you may turn on your cameras and greet one another.
Good morning.
Hey, Diane, do you see my thing?
No, Carl, did you email me?
No, I got the, picked up the stuff yesterday.
Oh, you
early.
did?
Yeah,
Okay,
and I left your thing up there.
okay. Thank
With
you
the
very
number.
much.
I thought, we were doing yesterday, right?
No, we were doing it, sorry, did I say this Saturday? I meant for next Saturday, for the
Well,
1st.
all right, well,
But that works fine because we're gonna do it the night of the 31st. There's a get together
Okay.
that membership's putting on. So Owen and I are gonna take our stuff down then.
all right.
So,
We'll
thank
chat
you.
later. Hi, Claudia.
Okay. Hey, Claudia.
As we enter into worship, please make sure that your cell phones are silenced. Now is a moment when we can focus on being here, when we can choose to connect with ourselves and the divine. when we can choose to just be present. Each Sunday, we light the chalice as a reminder that even in an increasingly unpredictable and dangerous world, the flame continues to shine, a corner of warmth and awareness where we, the members of this faith community, can find comfort, support, and connection with one another. Now, please join me in saying the call to worship. Come, let us gather. We gather to celebrate the sacred within and among us. We come to seek spiritual growth and understanding. We strive to practice acceptance, forgiveness, and love. Together, we work to build a world with justice and compassion. Come, let us gather together. Now, we have a story for all ages. Guy and Steve are going to lead us in a special form of hymn.
There we are. Good morning. All right, here we are. So this is Story for All Ages, and I just want to have a few introductory words. Religious exploration is for all ages. And one of the things that we do is that we learn about other faith traditions. Last summer, Guy and I led a summer service about the practice of the Shakers, and we're going to do a little bit of that today and lead you in a call and response Shaker hymn, which might be used to welcome people to a Sunday service like today. I thought it might be useful to share a little information about the Shakers with you. I'm sure many of you know the hymn Simple Gifts. 'Tis a gift to be simple, right? We've all sung that here. But I wanted to give you a little background on the Shakers. The sect came out of the Quaker tradition in England. The leader was a woman named Anne Lee. She was referred to as Mother Anne. And many of her followers felt that she was the female embodiment of Jesus. They came to this country around the time of the Revolution. They were persecuted and they settled into separate communities so that they could practice their religion in freedom. We as Unitarian Universalists share a lot of the same values with the Shakers, and I wanted to kind of share those with you. They believed in equality. We know from sketches that their communities were full of ethnic and racial diversity. They also very strongly believed in the equality of the sexes. Each community was governed by 4 elders, 2 men and 2 women. And we might just reflect back that Mother Anne, the founder, was a woman. And think of how many religions we are aware of that are founded by women. In this time, 200 years ago, women governing anything is fairly rare.
I want to say something about that too. It wasn't just this time, I mean, way back 200 years ago, but if you think about, we're used to having a woman as our reverend here at the parish. It's for many of us, since we've joined, we've always had a woman as a leader of the parish. But if you look at the list of the reverends in the past, they start with Reverend Man, that was his name, and they are men until, including Vivian Pomeroy, by the way, who was a man. But all the men go all the way till 1997. So you can think about that women as a head of a church or like this is really quite a recent thing, and the Shakers were way, way ahead of their time in that way.
They also valued personal experience of the divine, something that we honor by not having kind of a credo, right? In fact, for a great amount of time, the songs that they used for worship were received as visions, as spiritual gifts, and the community respected that kind of individual connection to the divine or the cosmos. They also believed in making a better world, working to make a better world. In their terms, it was making heaven on earth. And heaven will figure in the song we're going to lead you in. And if you're going to make the world a better place, you want it simpler, you want it efficient. So the Shakers were incredible inventors and creators. They invented the clothespin. They invented the flat broom. That is not a flat broom, that's a besom. That is a flat broom. They also started packaged seeds for all you gardeners, and welcome to spring. Because everything that they did, they considered an act of worship or blessing, a prayer, a gratitude to the divine. So how did the Shakers worship? Well, how do we worship? How do we worship here? We use words, prayers, songs, music, art, absolutely. I missed that one. Meditation, yes. Silence, silence. Well, the Shakers did all of those things too. They did one other thing that we don't typically do here. I'll give you a hint. In a meeting house like this, there would be no pews in a Shaker meeting house. There would be benches along the sides, leaving the whole floor open. Dance. The Shakers worshiped with their bodies, group dancing, with lots of gestures and marching and stomping. That was their primary form of worship, accompanied by songs. We're not going to dance today, don't worry. But we are going to do gestures with this song. And some of the gestures will include things like welcoming, or when we refer to I or me or my or you. There will be seeing or looking, and heaven. So we'll incorporate those gestures, do them as you see fit, as you can, and there's nothing, no mistakes can be made. What I'd invite you to do is stand as you are able, and instead of simply facing us, if you'll kind of face across the aisle so that you can address this hymn to your fellow parishioners.
While still keeping an eye on us to know what you're doing, right?
You can so I'm going to call out a section, and Guy will lead you in doing it, and we'll work our way through this hymn of welcome. It's called True Believer's Heaven, and all I need is a D. Oh, my friends.
Oh, my friends.
Oh, my neighbors.
Oh, my neighbors.
You look like the heaven.
You look like the heaven.
You act like the heaven.
You act like the heaven.
You are the heaven.
You are the heaven.
Where would be my heaven?
Where would be my heaven?
If I were not with you?
If I were not with you?
I should have no heaven.
I should have no heaven.
If I could not see you.
If I could not see you.
I think at this point we're going to sing the children out to their classes. With me, the seed of love surround you everywhere, everywhere. surround you. And this morning's reading is Small Kindnesses by Dashana Lemaris. I've been thinking about the way when you walk down a crowded aisle, people pull in their legs to let you by, or how strangers still say, "Bless you," when someone sneezes. A leftover from the bubonic plague, don't die, we're saying. And sometimes, when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly, we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and to say thank you to the person handing it, to smile at them and for them to smile back, for the waitress to call us honey when she sets down a bowl of clam chowder, or the driver of the red pickup truck stops to let us pass. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire, only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling of the holy, these fleeting temples we make together when we say, "Here, have my seat. Go ahead, you first. I like your hat."
Full disclosure, I love the summer services. The first one I went to was probably 5 years ago, not long after Owen and I started coming to First Parish. My first summer service involved Julie Baker telling us about how storytelling had saved her life. Then she encouraged each of us to draw a word out of a bag or a hat or a box or something, and to spin a spontaneous minute-long little story from that word. About half of the people there did that. That service made a big impression on me, and it is still with me. Maybe that very day, I started thinking about what I would plan a service around. What would I bring to one of these summer services? Not that I was going to do it. I was new. But by the following summer, I couldn't wait. I led my first summer service close to my 75th birthday, same weekend, and my closest friend was here from Brooklyn. For music, I asked Owen to play his mandolin, and Claudia Wellington came home early from a gig on the Cape to play duets with Owen and to sing for us. Since then, I have led a service every summer, 3 others so far. Partly, that meant encouraging people who had never led one to try it out. I think with great results. It also meant my loving that there were some people who needed no coaxing. I see these lay-led services as one of the best ways we have of getting to know each other. That first summer, I got to know Claudia better, and maybe even Owen better, as we talked over various pieces of music that we either liked or didn't like. And I got to know my 2 worship assistants, Pat Neves and Cynthia Guys. And through that summer service, people got to know me better, at least in a very different way than they would have gotten to know me at social hour or on a committee. My most recent summer service was last June. I wanted to talk about what I call deep friendship. I had started my sermon weeks before I realized that I had signed myself up for June 19th, which was Juneteenth, when slaves in Texas learned that they were no longer legally enslaved. And it was also Father's Day. We did not do justice to either of those celebrations, but we did acknowledge them and include them in our service. I say we because Frank Graham was my worship associate, and we figured it out together. Frank had just lost her father, and she talked about that in her faith reflection. We also brought her father into the service with his whistling of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which Frank had unknowingly recorded on her phone or something like that. You're going to hear that today as our offertory. A perennial summer service leader has been Joe Ayub. His summer services might be the only way I would ever have gotten to know about Joe's growing up in a family that was devoted to St. Jude's Hospital for Children, and Joe's more recent experiences as a board member and fundraiser for St. Jude's. And last summer, I got to know about Joe's growing up in a family of huge Celtic fans and the life lessons Joe felt he has learned from basketball. Also last summer, we got to go vicariously to Lisa White's house to watch the wildlife around it and to hear Lisa's reflections on what she noticed out her window. We got to hear Tracy Robinson's reflections on joy, a theme she inherited from someone else more or less at the last minute. Some of you know that when you really need her, you can count on Tracy. July 4th, we heard Jeff Stute's serious thoughts about patriotism, but that was laced with Jeff's humor and his beautiful singing. You'll hear more of that too. Diana Wilson got the biggest turnout of the summer, partly by asking half the congregation to contribute to her service that she planned around fun and play. You can see that summer services can be planned around almost anything that means a lot to the lay leader. A few weeks ago, we had a service led by Tom Kemp that was a reprise of Tom's summer service last August about choices he had made in his life that had been life-changing. This morning, the story for all ages came from Guy and Steve's service last June, Lessons from the Shakers. I think Tom, Guy, and Steve were all first-timers last summer. For the last 2 years, our last service of the summer has been outdoors and led by Elise Henricks. It has made use of our wonderful laced-together canvas labyrinth. Also, for the last 2 summers, we have had Jenny Mulqueen's and Amy Cavadlo's services that focused, focused on singing as prayer. You're going to hear more about that soon. Here is my other disclosure, which may be obvious. I can't wait to discover more about the people of First Parish and the various things they will share with us in future summer services. That means I am hoping all of you will leave this service feeling no pressure at all, but asking yourself, if you were going to do a summer service, what would you want it to be about? What might you share about something that's important to you? About something that has moved you or changed you? Maybe a question you've been asking yourself. When I shared what I was going to be saying this morning with Owen, he felt that I was leaving something out, and he thought about what it was and tried to put it into words. And I had been surprised that I could talk him last summer into doing a summer service, and that he actually enjoyed it. And so I'm going to read you his exact words from this morning at the breakfast table. It's on the back of a grocery list. I think there are personal and spiritual benefits to sharing yourself and to exploring something in greater depth that matters to you. He wanted me to get across that something wonderful could happen to you if you do a summer service. And again, no pressure, but please realize that when you just get yourself to a summer service, you are supporting someone who has put a lot of themselves into it. This is how we can minister to each other as well as get to know each other on a deeper level. It can be by leading a summer service, or it can be by being there to support the person leading it. I love the idea of our ministering to each other in both those ways. The overall theme for services this month is vulnerability. Reverend Lisa modeled vulnerability for us in what I call her Valentine's sermon, in which she shared a painful incident from her childhood, a school nurse yelling at her that she was ugly. Can you imagine? You don't have to be that vulnerable when you lead a summer service. You mainly have to trust that your life has given you something that might be useful for the rest of us to hear. And as I have told a number of people who were leading or participating in a summer service, you'll have a very forgiving audience. Here to share more with you about our summer services are Amy and Jenny.
Thank you, Penny. So, as a singing chaplain, I've been exploring the notion of what it means to sing as a spiritual practice. This has led me to seek definitions of spiritual practice and prayer and reshape my own engagement with singing, pushing up against societal norms that I fear do more to silence voices than encourage them. Our cultural worshiping of talent and perfection are the biggest obstacles to soulful, prayerful music. Foundationally, my work is rooted in my philosophy as a music educator, that music making is our human birthright. It's our human birthright. We all can do it. Our last two summer services together, Amy and I have explored what it means to sing soulfully. In 2021, we did a service on what it means to emerge from the pandemic with a song in our hearts. So a song that we might really know by heart. There's something to that, memorizing, even just the Go Now in Peace song, do you know that by heart by now? And then in 2022, we sort of built on that with what it means to sing a song into prayer. Again, knowing it by heart, it stirs something within you. It has this deep meaning. It might be simple, and you're not doing it necessarily to perform or prove anything, but really for your own benefit of connecting and grounding.
When I was a teenager in the late 60s, I played the guitar and sang all the time. It was a source of great pleasure, and it got me through a lot of hard times. But a series of events led me to stop singing. I didn't think I had a good enough voice. It wasn't strong enough. I never was proficient at sight reading. The joy had gone out of it. I sang to my kids when they were babies, but that was it. Fast forward to First Parish. I was so taken by the music here and fell in love with singing the hymns that had never been a part of my life growing up, but which now filled me with overwhelming feelings, and I'm sure you've seen me cry many times during the hymns that I can't even see the words. Okay. Years went by, and I met Jenny Mulqueen. Our friendship flourished when we were on the worship committee together in 2010. Many times she told me about Woman's Song, her a cappella singing group, and knowing how I loved the hymns encouraged me to join. I always found reasons not to do it, until a few years ago when suddenly the internal barriers melted away and I said I would try it. I walked into a room, it actually meets in a chapel, and was greeted by the warmest and most welcoming group of women I have ever met. There was no time to worry about performance or perfection. I was plunged into Jenny's way of teaching singing as a spiritual practice and immediately felt transformed. The simple yet profound pieces we sing without reading music, often sung in rounds or in harmonies, create a bond that I am so grateful to be a part of. It is nothing short of magical. It is out of this experience that Jenny and I did the 2 summer services she just talked about. It was such a pleasure to share this with First Parish.
Thanks, Amy. So one of the songs that we sang coming out of the pandemic, Amy just said, has become iconic. We shall be known by the company we keep. We're not going to sing that this morning. We're going to move on to another song. And this one is by Linda Hirschhorn, who is a Jewish cantor, and she has a lot of great songs out there. And it's called Amazed.
May I stay amazed for all of my days and all of the ways of the world's turning, amazed at what I've got, not what I've not, all soon forgot. In the world's turning, may I stay amazed for all of my days and all of the ways of the world's turning, amazed at what I've got, not what I've not, all soon forgot,
All forgot
in the world's turning.
And now I have the pleasure of introducing Elise Henricks, who is the chair of our worship committee.
Thank you, Penny. Let me put this up a little bit. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. So Penny already mentioned a little bit about the services I've done the last couple of years, but I just want to talk a little bit about the Labyrinth service. And I really like to do services outside, which is one of the reasons I've led the Labyrinth service for the past couple of years. And you may ask, how do we have a labyrinth? How does that work? So more than 15 years ago, and I think Tracy was in the group. Was anybody else in the group that made the labyrinth? only Tracy. But from what I understand, it was purchased from a kit. So it's made of this durable natural canvas, and it seams together with Velcro. And the surface is painted in purple with a reproduction of the labyrinth, which is on the floor of the Notre Dame de Chartres Cathedral in France. The original was built in the 13th century as a site for pilgrims who visited the cathedral because apparently there is a piece of fabric that is said to be from clothing worn by Mary, the mother of Jesus, there. So the labyrinth's center is surrounded by 6 lobed rosettes, which was an ancient symbol from the East used to portray the nature of God in Sumerian, Babylonian, Jewish, and Roman art traditions. So in the summer, we assemble the labyrinth out here on the parish lawn between the meeting house and the parish hall, as long as the weather cooperates. We have a simple service, but the main portion of the service is devoted to each person interacting with the labyrinth as they would like to. You can sit on the side and have quiet contemplation. You can go directly to the center, or you can walk the path slowly to the center and back. It's a bit of a dance. You have to try to be aware of those around you and not run into anyone, and make space for everyone to pass on their own journey. The labyrinth isn't a maze. There's no tricks to it and no dead ends. It's a single circuitous path that winds its way to the center, and then use the same path to return from the center. The entrance then becomes the exit. The path is in full view, which allows you to be quiet and focus internally. So generally, there are 3 stages to the walk: releasing on the way in, receiving in the center, and returning when you follow the path back out of the labyrinth. Symbolically, you're taking back out into the world that which you have received from the center, the source of wisdom and love. What I love most about this service is being with others on the path and listening to the birds. It's rare that we are silent together as a community while being outdoors. There's also the sound of traffic. Some may be dismayed by that, but for me it's a reminder that we have to take whatever we receive from the labyrinth experience and go back out into the world. So I'll end with some words from the service that I love that come from the poet Starhawk. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned that we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing. A circle of friends. Someplace we can be free. I hope you'll join me for the labyrinth this summer. Thanks.
And now with an inspiring song for us is Jeff Stute.
When Penny invited me to be a part of this service, this song came to me immediately, and I've sung it a couple times in front of Lisa, and Lisa says, and she's right, Jeff is a song for every occasion. And, okay. So this song, in the spirit of summer services and taking chances, this song is called Experiment. Before you leave these portals to join less fortunate mortals, there is one final lesson I would give to you. You all have learned reliance on the sacred teachings of science, so I hope through life you never will decline in spite of Philistine defiance, to do what all good scientists do. Experiment. Make it your motto day and night. Experiment, and it will lead you to the light. The apple at the top of the tree is never too high to achieve. So take an example from Eve. Experiment. Be curious. Though interfering friends may frown, get furious at each attempt to hold you down. If this advice you'll only employ, the future can offer you infinite joy and merriment. Experiment, and you'll see. Experiment. Make it your motto day and night. Experiment, and it will lead you to the light. The apple at the top of the tree is never too high to achieve. So take an example from Eve. Experiment. Be curious. Though interfering friends may frown, get furious at each attempt to hold you down. If this advice you'll only employ, the future can offer you infinite joy and merriment. Experiment, and you'll see. Thank you.
Let us join our hearts in prayer. Spirit of loving kindness and community, we thank you that we can be together, that together we can create peace, belonging, friendship, the reduction of injustice, of indifference, of loneliness. We also pray together for all our unspoken prayers, that they may be somehow heard and somehow answered. May this be so. Amen.
This morning's faith reflection will be Pat Galvin.
Good morning, everybody. It's always tough to follow the singer, but anyway, I'm here to speak about today's donations for Share the Plate. This week, they will be divided between two organizations providing relief to victims of the earthquakes impacting Syria and Turkey. Both groups are supported by the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. The first is the Fund for Global Human Rights. They connect grassroots human rights defenders to funders and long-term strategic support. They have provided money, tools, and support for this earthquake rescue effort. The second organization is the White Helmets, also known as Syria Civil Defense. They are humanitarian volunteers who have been working during the many crisis situations impacting Syria over the past several years, and they have provided rescue services on the ground following the recent disaster. So for more information on either organization, you can check the website. And these are groups that the Social and Environmental Justice Committee has looked into and supports. So, thank you.
That pen does not want to stay on this podium. So, as you all know how to give at this point in your order of worship, you can simply text 617-539-57, excuse me, I'm dyslexic, 7576 with the amount you'd like to give. Do not add words, simply put in the amount, and you'll get an automatic text message back. We also have a donation plate at the front and the back of the church. And do we have the recording?
Hey, Frank. Just checking in. We'll be looking forward to seeing you whenever.
Frank is the youngest of a number of sisters, and as the father of daughters, when she played that for the first time after his passing, it really made me cry. So I'm going to not cry, but I am going to ask us to sing the doxology together. From all that dwell. May these One 1004 in the blue hymnal. 1024. I'm just reading the signs.
as I told people about summer services, you have a very forgiving audience. I thought you might like to be blessed for the benediction with the same words we sing to the children and youth as they leave our service to go off to their own activities. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere you may go. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere you go in this coming week and always. So may it be.
Hey, Lori. Just you, me, and Margot. I think Margot's there. I don't know. Hi, Margot, you there? All right. Hey, Margot, sometime we should chat. We miss you at church. All right. See you, everyone.